Well, hello, everybody. I'm here with my friend Tag from Life Done Free, and we are streaming both on the Living Free in Tennessee channel and on Tag's channel, Life Done Free. So, hi, everybody. How's it going tonight?
Hello, hello.
Hello. Tag, what have you been up to lately? I haven't talked to you in ages. I feel like we
Oh,
were talking weekly and then we didn't speak for like 3 months.
yeah, life got busy, business-wise, it got busy, and we're putting a food forest academy in on my land. And so I've been in the design phase and then spring and then animals and, just living the same life you are,
Yeah. Spring and animals, man. I have learned all of the birthing things about sheep in the last 7 days, all in one go. So that's been fun. So we were actually just chatting before, and you said, "What do you mean talk about building a durable life?"
Yeah.
So let's go there. We use the word self-reliance, self-sufficiency, being prepared, and homesteading a lot, right?
Okay.
But when I've been thinking about this lately, this is about building durability into your life. And that's what I mean by durable life. It's setting yourself up so that when the unexpected happens, you can respond to it, but also from a bigger picture perspective. Like, to be durable, you have to be healthy. To be durable, you have to have a big community around you. To be durable, you need to think about, am I regenerating how my food comes? Like, do I know where their sources are? To be durable, if somebody punches you in the nose and keeps trying to punch you in the nose, you probably ought to learn how to not be punched in the nose in that situation.
Yeah.
Like, it can go on and on. Like, you're more durable than I am if the power goes out.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. I clearly understand what you mean by that now.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's when I was talking to the designers for the food forest, they asked me, one question they asked me was, how much amount of time do you want to spend on a weekly basis in your food forest? Right. And I said, well, it's an interesting question, but I think what you're really asking me is about energy capital. How much do I want to have to mess with it?
Yeah.
Right. And the truth is, I want a low maintenance, all my processes to be low maintenance so that I can be durable.
Yes.
My beautiful bride got sick with influenza this last week and she was down.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to manage my businesses and the homestead and, all of the stuff that goes on around the house. And I was super, super thankful that a lot of those systems were automated. I was super, super thankful that chores was a 15-minute process. Thank you, Nicole and John. Right. I was super excited that a lot of those things allowed me to be durable when we had a man down.
Yeah. So I think that's a really important thing. So let's sit on that for a while. When we first get into homesteading, we get super excited and we do all the things. And then somebody gets sick and you lose all the things. I know somebody who lost 1,000 trees because he did not automate his watering. Mm-hmm. He's like, it's not that much time to just turn on a hose or two and some sprinklers. Mm-hmm. And then everybody in his house got influenza. And he was like, keeping the people alive matters more than the trees, right? Yeah. And it was during one of those hot summers with no water. Even if you have the time to manually do everything, it's a bad idea.
It's a bad idea.
Very, very bad idea.
And we always try here at the house, and we have this thing going on between me and my wife that where this homestead has to be able to run with one person's effort 50% of the time. That has to be the goal because someone will be sick or someone's not here or whatever it is, to your point. So I think it's super smart.
Yeah. So it's funny. I had that same question posed to me when we put the food forest in at my house. Mm-hmm. And, how many hours a week do you want to spend on it? And my answer was 15 minutes a month.
Yeah, right.
I was like, I'm just going to be upfront here. I could tell you I'll do an hour a week and that would be a lie.
Yeah.
It will be 15. And because of that, the stun method is in full force in my food forest right now. Mm-hmm. I've lost one tree since we planted it, which was a little over a year ago. Mm-hmm. And it was a tree I was hesitant to put in because it was an apple tree, and apple trees just don't do well in Tennessee because of the cedar apple rust problem. Mm-hmm. But it's rust resistant, and it croaked. Mm-hmm. You know why? Because it got cedar apple rust, and it was young, and it was just, and I was like, I'm not putting another apple there. There's not. It just does not make sense to do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it's in the whole thing about being great at this lifestyle is about management.
Yeah.
And the better you manage it management isn't a physical statement, right? It's the better you manage through the cedar apple rust or through your, sheep giving birth, right? And not going exactly the way you planned it to go. But hopefully everything went okay because you had enough systems in place. Nothing had to crash because of the catastrophe of the sheep.
Yeah, I will say I'm really behind on some detail management for Self-Reliance Festival as a result of birth week. And that's okay. I'm like, what I'm going to do, like, I was literally editing the agenda that's printed out for Self-Reliance Festival. I'm like, well, because the person who designs it can't be the person who edits it or proofreads it, right?
Right.
And so I'm like, okay, I see some errors there. I was like, don't send it to print. And I was talking on the phone, and Mama Sauce says, well, it won't be there in time. I'm like, if I have to go pick it up at the print shop, I will, but we don't want to print, the wrong stuff. And she said, like, fair enough, that'll work. So there's always, you get really good at choosing what's really important when stuff's going on.
Oh, this is weird.
What's going on?
Oh, on my end, it's telling me that the stream on my end was deleted. I'm going to try something here. I tried to comment just to the people out there.
Okay, it says I'm live here. Let me test. You know what? I'm doing it through my StreamYard. Did you set it up through yours too?
Yeah, I set it up through StreamYard.
Okay, we are live on your channel, probably at a different link.
Okay. Well, anyway, I was just saying, hey, Freedom Warriors out there. Hello. But it don't matter. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So it's cool. Well, it's interesting what you said back there is that, the Discovery Channel has Shark Week. Nicole has Birthing Week. Yeah, it's such a challenge, but I think what you were talking about is just super, super important about being durable. I love that word. I did not, I always call it energy capital, right? And those things. I think it's a super smart word. And I think that if anybody takes anything from that, our first little conversations right there is to be durable, because a lot happens. Every day I get a call from a homestead that some catastrophe happened. Something happened. A cow got through a fence. A dog ran off. I had a good friend of mine just had a dog get run over, in the road, and just all kinds of things. So I think that's really, really smart, Nicole. What a great topic.
Well, and so the reason I thought we could talk about durability is how do you get started increasing your durability? And I think you're really smart to start with processes, like make a system and automate things one at a time. Because we feel pressured to do everything at once, but just choose one thing. Like, what's the one thing that's driving you the craziest right now? That's where you start.
Yeah. Yeah. And, it's, to me, sometimes it's just managing the most pressing issue all the time. Whatever that happens to be. My wife this last winter decided she could get 2 more weeks out of the water system. She just knew she could before the freeze set in. Well, guess what?
No.
And froze, broke a pump. And so now all my water is draining out all over everything, and I've got to scramble. So everything else I had planned has to go on the side, or her getting sick this week. I planned on pouring concrete for our community building this week and didn't get it done because my wife decided that she needed to be sick.
Yeah.
And she decided that, just so you know.
She did.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how that works. So I have a bottle lamb right now. You know what that means?
Yes, I know exactly what that means.
We're up to every 4 hours and 15 minutes for feeding. Yeah. And last night I was watching a TV show to wind down, and it was maybe 9:30, and I was totally falling asleep in my chair. Right, which is a little early. And my friend Tactical was here, and the show ended, and he said, "You need to go to bed, and I'm taking over the next 2 feedings." And I was like, that's really smart, because the next thing is Nicole gets a cold.
That's right. And then what happens?
Yeah. Then I have a cold at Self-Reliance Festival. Nobody wants that, right? Yeah, for beginners, just start with something. Don't begin with everything. Yeah. And managing the most intense thing, I think, is important. Knowing what your priorities are is important. And then, do you know what homesteader's remorse is?
No.
So, like, homesteader's remorse is when you've had to take an action in an emergency, and then you doubt yourself. It's like that did I do the right thing? Did I make the problem worse? that is a real part of this lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think there's always a critic, and quite often it's us.
Yeah.
You know, and I go through it too, you know, and I think to add to that point, I also think that don't be afraid to do something wrong, because, you know, I've rebuilt my water system 3 times now.
Yeah.
And I've learned, you know, imagine you fill up a 600-gallon tank of water with rain, and it's going to water your animals until a cow happens to brush up against the waterer and knock it over in the middle of the night. And then you dump all of the water that you have all over the ground. And so now you don't have that water, which means now you're pumping it in from the well or whatever it is. And so you say, okay, well, this ain't going to work. So now I need to pump the water to another tank that's maybe like 35 gallons, so that if it breaks, I lose 35 gallons. I don't lose 600 gallons. So it's a constant evolving process. And I think that being able to evolve is part of being durable as well. What do you think about that?
100%. Because we learn things on the internet, and the internet tells us how to do things, and the internet is not always right.
No.
So what was one of the myths that I have even spread in my podcast, because I believed it without double checking or testing myself, is that you need to let meat get up to room temperature to cook it so it cooks more even. So you take your steaks out 45 minutes early, put them on the counter from your fridge, and then you cook them, and it's better, right?
Okay.
No. So somebody actually measured the internal temperature of a steak, let it sit out at room temperature for 45 minutes, measured it again, and it was not arguably different in the middle of that steak. So sure, if it's frozen in the middle of that steak, that's one issue, but which completely turns on its head all of the advice. Well, where did I get that advice? From other people I know who are really good at cooking things, because that's what they said. And so we just started repeating it. And then one of my chef friends said, Nicole, I'm sending you a link. You need to stop saying that.
Yeah. I think you just hit a very important point too, which is, you know, we talk about being durable. Community plays a big role in this too, right? And having someone to bounce ideas off of, or even just somebody to vent to, or someone to tell you, hey, quit feeling sorry for yourself, or, you know, whatever it is. I would argue community may be part of the, you know, the durability conversation. What do you think about that?
Yeah. People who will call you on stuff is important. If you have a hard day as a homesteader and you post about it on the internet, you are going to get people hating on you about making the wrong decision. So unless you're willing to deal with that, instead of posting that on the internet because you need to talk to somebody who loves you, who understands what you're trying to do, who, even if you did something wrong, is not going to, you know, go for the jugular. Because that's what I see. Also, there is a group of just, I don't know, they're just unhappy people out there waiting to yell at you.
Yeah.
And if you're not in the mental state to be yelled at, don't do it. And I think you need to protect that very carefully. That's how you become a healthier mental person, is not like, don't make it worse.
You know, I've got a neighbor who's got 300 acres across the street from me, and he went on vacation to, no, it wasn't vacation. He had to go to Utah or something, I don't remember, somewhere. And he was gone a week and said, hey, Tag, do me a favor. Will you take care of my animals while I'm gone? Well, so, you know, he's got 1,000 of them. Okay. So it's not like my 100, right, that we take care of. He's got 1,000 of them. And he's got this one dog named Cujo, who I can't even get close to. Well, his name ain't Cujo. I call him Cujo, but because he's a Turkish Kangal that's huge and scary in all of this. But anyway, my point is that, you know, part of, I think, being durable, we talk about having a plan and a backup plan. When my wife gets sick, what if me and my wife both get sick? My community could be there to come in and step in. And, you know, I had people bringing me dinner over, you know, when my wife was sick, so I didn't have to cook, or they were afraid of my cooking, one of the two, whichever, and coming over and helping with chores and all of that stuff. So I think that also maybe plays a role in that. And, you know, for those of you guys out in the audience today, you know, the whole community thing, it's an intentional effort. You got to go work hard on it. And it should be an everyday chore. It's not something you do sometimes. It should be every day. I'm going to do something to further community today. And, you know, there's a lot of ways to do that. Being intentional is the best way, but I wanted to just real quick, since I haven't had this public place to do this yet until right now, I wanted to thank Nicole and John, because my community got so much better, because of my time at SRF. And I've spoke 4 times, 3 or 4 times there. 4? I don't remember.
I should know this, and I don't.
It's all right. However many times there, but every single time I've gone down there, I've ended up growing our community by at least a homestead. And there was one particular one that I went down that had people come up and talk to me. And today, 3 families live here in my community today because of your efforts, Nicole, and because of John. And I just wanted to publicly tell you thank you, because our community's gotten a lot better because of it.
You know, that is one of my primary motivators for Self-Reliance Festival. Is we bring people together, and we have cool speakers like Tag, and we learn new things. You know, this time I've got an Alaskan chainsaw mill demonstration, for example. You know, like, nice. You never know what it's going to be exactly. Nice. I've got Alan Booker talking about the resilient kitchen, where he takes a permaculture approach to evaluating how resilient is your kitchen. And he's a really smart dude. We'll just put it that way. He's a really smart dude. And he's got a book that's coming out on that topic. So that's been really exciting to a lot of us, because he's talking about like how you make space for like the stuff that you harvest and processing that into your kitchen, while also you need to cook. And how do you know what replenishes what? All that stuff's fun, and people learn stuff, and that's what brings people in the door. But the thing that I hear the most from people who've been there is, I met this person. Now there's somebody who's close to me. Now we're working together, and we're finding more people who are close to us. And the next thing you know, there's a hub, because you're a hub, right? In Kansas. Kansas had a lot going on already, but you've got a hub there, and then you start. It's like you're recruiting people at this point. You're attracting people in, and we see these hubs all over the country happening, and that's the part that does the most to help people become more durable.
Yeah. So how did SRF become a centerpiece of those hubs?
It's funny. It's because. So you know how it came to be was that John and I had gotten to know each other, and he had a party, and I came to the party and sold coffee in his factory. Mm-hmm. And he spent the whole time showing people all of his homestead activities. Mm-hmm. And at the end of it, he said, let's do an event. And he was sort of like, it sounded like he wanted to hire me to do events there. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, if it doesn't pay for itself, it's not sustainable. It's not worth doing. So let's charge money, see what people in our networks can present on, and just go. And our first one had about 150 people, and we were operating out of the garage and the pole barn. Mm-hmm. And we had some porta potties, and that was it.
Yeah.
That was it. I can't remember what we did for food. I think Honeybee's Kitchen came and like sold bowls of chili, just out of a crock pot, basically.
Yeah.
And it was there that I realized that it was more of a community building activity and a connection activity than anywhere else, than anything else. And I just felt called to support that effort. So I've always been driven personally. I'm a connector. That's what I do. That's one of my superpowers. And I've always been called to do that at my own homestead. It's a hub of community as well. And this just allowed me to take my network, which is pretty decent, and John's network, which is huge, and put it together and start facilitating the hubs to happen, because it doesn't make sense for him to have a community and me to have a community and not have them cross-pollinate. And then once we started that, other communities started coming in. So because of the relationship with EMP Shield, we were connected with the Midwest Preparedness Project. And that's been a huge boon. Kentucky Sustainable Living reached out, and they're like, hey, we're a community too. And then Jack Spirko's community came in, and Bear Independence community came in. And you know, what's great about all of these different communities acting together is, you know, like the big names bring people, but there are the kind of people who are proactive, who are doers, who are freedom oriented, who are genuinely interested in helping their fellow man as well as themselves as they build a durable life together. And they understand that the lone wolf doesn't do well in a SHTF situation. Like, to the extent we can help each other, then the community is that much more resilient. And that's been cool. And then from there, it's just like new little hubs just keep popping up, because when you get this many people flowing through this many events and meeting each other, it's just natural that somewhere in Arkansas, some people start, hanging out together and doing stuff. And somewhere in the Pacific Northwest, people start doing that. It's a natural cropping when you're not trying to be top down, but rather just let it happen. Right.
Yeah. But I think SRF is unique in that, and last year I spoke at 12 different venues last year, and all of them are very different. Right. And if you want a place to hang out with your kids and help them learn how to start fire, come to the Midwest Preparedness Project. It's the best festival there is for that. But from my experience, if you want to yoke up and find other people like you, SRF's as good as it gets.
Yeah.
For me, it has been, in the times that I've been down there.
I think that's a lot of people who come for the first time have just woken up and they're like, man, stuff's not good. I got to do something.
Yeah.
What can I do? And then they find Self-Reliance Festival and they come there a little bit in fear sometimes. Mm-hmm. And while they're there, they realize there's a flip. You see the switch flip, right? Where they just go, oh, okay, we can do stuff and not worry about all the whatever going on out there. We can do stuff here because this is what we control, not what other people do that we can't control.
Yeah. So who do you guys, I haven't even looked, and I apologize for that. I've just been so busy. Who do you all got speaking this year?
We've got Toolman Tim coming in to talk about failing forward, and Joel Riles is going to talk about just protecting yourself and your property. Mm-hmm. So those are two good ones. We've got Mike Shelby from Forward Observer.
Good guy.
Talking about developing a local area intelligence network. So he's like, he's doing a area study workshop Friday before, but what he's talking about there is that. Then we've got Alan Booker doing the Self-Reliant Kitchen. Do you know Hand Hewn Farm? Do you know those guys from Ohio?
I do.
Yeah, they're coming down.
I know who they are. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're doing a butchering workshop that's really cool on Thursday and Friday. And it includes some types of meat curing that I haven't gotten into at all that I'd like to know more about. But we're butchering a pig and talking about curing. And then they're presenting, their title is called The Tea and Tasty. Okay. And the motivation for this is that, so we homestead and we grow food, and then you don't want to ruin your food by making it taste bad in how you cook it. Mm-hmm. As a homesteader, I can say I am as guilty as anybody else, and I like food of just sort of getting into a cooking rut. So this addresses that. Like, you don't want to ruin the meat. We've got Angry American.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So he'll be there.
I said, Chris is a good guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I met him this last weekend at Kentucky Sustainable Living. We didn't talk a lot, but we've got plant medicine basics. We've got an animal nutritionist coming in to talk about natural ways to work with your animals and pets. And so I wanted more of a health focus this time. So I got a couple of health sessions in there, sort of outside the just, work out more and eat right. Amanda Willis is up this time, Shooting Straight. We're doing a panel where we just ask questions, and she has a way of saying things very directly, which is why we called it Shooting Straight. So it'll be fun. Oh, Letty's here. Buy your tickets now. Letty is on the marketing team for Self-Reliance Festival.
Go, Letty, go.
Like, here we go. So moderators, please post a link to SRF. Sure. Let me see if I can do this.
While you're typing that, for all you guys out there listening, oh, there you go.
Yeah. Does that make you uncomfortable that I have superpowers on your channel?
Not a bit. Not at all. That's how it works,
So before StreamYard allowed you to add your own account like it does now, you and I actually added your account to my account for one of years ago. That's why that's there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I don't care. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Look at that. Life with Mike and Jen. Bam.
Boom. Yeah.
Yeah. If you could get them to ever come speak, they're out of Arkansas. They have a super fascinating story and very magnetic. I don't know if they'd ever do it or not. Yeah, I
Well,
just
they should reach out to me.
Yeah, really good and good, just good folk. They've stayed at my house. Just spent a week with me not very long ago, but just amazing human beings. I'd love to see them get down there.
So Grumpy is presenting with Yoda. Speaking of your network, about how they used homesteading to opt out of the system.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I'm looking forward to that
one. This morning we were discussing his speech.
Oh, sweet.
A little bit this morning. So yeah, I'm super up to speed, and he'll do a good job. He's got a really good story. He worked for the government, for a long time, and it cost him greatly, but they did it well, I think, using the resources they had to try to get free.
Yeah. But you and I, because we've been really busy, I don't know that I let you know what to promote for this, did I, very much in advance?
No, that's all right.
So I have this feeling that your people missed the early bird pricing. Is that correct?
I would say that's probably accurate.
What if I made like a Life Done Free discount code?
I think you should do that. And if anybody can go, you guys should go. It's a great, great, great place to find like-minded people. And the speakers are awesome. And I don't mean to downplay this, Nicole, when I say this, but I gained way more there out of the audience than I ever did out of the speakers. I mean, the speakers were great. Listening to Joel Salatin speak last time.
Yeah.
Amazing. I mean, there's just so many amazing people. So I'm not trying to downplay them in any way, but I'm telling you, to be able to get out in the audience and network, I had so many great communications. And again, some of them people now live in my area, but some of them I'm just now friends with, and we talk on the phone, and we, talk over email, and, we work on their community and on our community. And it's just an absolute great place to find other like-minded people who are willing to be intentional and willing to do that next thing. And I can't speak enough praises of my experiences there.
Okay. Well, I just added a coupon code, $20 off if you type Life Done Free in the coupon code area. So yeah. Dana says silence. Does that mean we suddenly went quiet? I can hear you.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Everybody hear us okay?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I was thinking about that. Both you and Bear. So Bear was working on the ruckus, and I didn't want to. It's really hard to promote two events at the same time. So there we go. There's your coupon code. That gets you basically early bird price.
Cool.
For the next week.
Cool. Super. You guys go. I'm telling you, go invest in it. And you guys have heard me say on my channel a million times, you want to build community. The single most important thing you have to do is be intentional. You have to take that first step. And, I traveled all over last year for this exact purpose. I got to go speak and do some of those kind of things. But the real purpose was, how can I now take this energy and develop it into growing my community? And, I do that through relationships, with Nicole and John and then a lot of you find people too,
Yeah. So what are you doing differently this year? So, I have something to share with you.
Oh,
I have grid power.
Okay.
Right. So it does not make sense to put solar in, right?
I disagree, but go ahead.
Right. So we put a solar system in last year for my guest cabin that runs my water system then. And we discovered all manner of chicanery in the wiring in that building as a result. So we basically couldn't run it unless we manually switched over until we went through and fixed all the problems. So now it's all done.
Love that.
And I get glee every day. Like, I have this app on my phone where I'm like, oh, the battery's 100% now.
You're turning into a solar Nazi. My wife's a solar Nazi.
Yeah.
She looks at it 100 times a day.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, it's time to do laundry. The battery's full and we have more power than we're using. And then that runs the well pump, which uses the surplus. So yeah, I've totally turned into a solar Nazi.
How wonderful.
Yeah.
Isn't it kind of empowering to know you have that sitting there?
Yeah.
Because to me, it totally is.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, like, if tornadoes come through and knock out the power, I'm going to be in the dark in my house, but at least I have water, and, we could always run an extension cord up here if we needed to. I mean, I have other ways to deal with stuff, but Oil lamps are really nice.
Yeah.
Romantic lighting at my house if the power goes out.
We have oil lamps too, but I'm going to tell you, there is just something cool about knowing no matter what happens, you'll have some source of power, because you talk about, being durable. Well, one of the things about being durable, as you mentioned, was your health. Well, one of the things about keeping your health is not working yourself to death.
Yeah.
And energy is a force multiplier. Energy cuts down this energy.
Right.
So congratulations, by the way. That's awesome.
Yeah. So we've really, at my house, the first thing we did with that in mind, with the, hey, let's tap into energy better, was put a solar water heater in.
Mm-hmm.
And then we did a rocket mass heater in my pump house, which needs to be redone, because that's life. Like, we do the things based on what we've learned, and then we redo the things based on what we learned from actually doing the things. And then the solar, for me, it's a durability thing. So that's it. My motivation isn't how much money can I save on my power bill.
Mm-hmm.
It saves me some, but not a ton.
Mm-hmm.
It's how can I not care if the power goes out around me? Like, I want to be sitting here going, wait, what? The power's out? Oh, okay. My power's not out.
And Nicole, I'll bet you 500 people ask me, what is my break even point on my solar system? And I always tell them I have no idea.
Yeah.
I didn't do it for any of those reasons. I don't care what that is.
Right.
I don't even care. It makes no difference to me. Yeah. I want to live without the stroke and the grip of the systems around me that then want to, pick winners and losers.
100%. And that investment lasts for years and years. Like, it's a 20, 30-year thing now here. And I made my choices with that in mind. When I decided it was time to do a solar system, and Sean Mills really helped me figure out the size for that and all of the things. He's asking me questions. Do you want new panels or used panels? Because you can get used panels really cheap. And I was like, well, what's the payoff on that? Do you want this kind of battery or that kind of battery? And I was like, which one lasts longer? He's like, well, it's more expensive, but this one actually, because it lasts longer per year, your cost is lower, but you got to pay it all at once. Yeah. And those sorts of things were really helpful to address.
Yeah. Well, not only do they last longer, it also gives you a larger discharge rate. You can take the battery down a lot further, which gives you more power as well.
Yeah. Yeah, right. I can go down to 0 if I want to.
Right.
So then my settings are optimized for off-grid, in that it lets the battery go very low and then it recharges. But on cloudy days, it doesn't make it all the way back up. So for me, my goal is durability, which means if the power goes out in the middle of the night and my battery's not full, I'm not a happy person, because then I don't have a whole day's worth of battery. And I do have the advantage of having the grid. Yes, total power Nazi. 100%.
You're into a power Nazi.
So now I'm like, I don't really like the battery discharge that much. So at the end of the day, when the sun sets, I look and I see how full is the battery, and I know how much of the battery I need for the night. And if it's not above the line, I grid charge it, even though that technically costs me more money, because durability is the goal.
Durability is the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a lot of force multipliers on a homestead, but I can't think of any of them that have as big an impact as energy.
Yeah.
Electricity. Yeah. Man, I move water with it. We charge everything with it. My animals get to drink their water without zero input from us because of solar power.
Yeah.
Would not be possible otherwise.
Heavy equipment's really a thing too, though.
Oh, yes.
So that's our next, I think that's probably our next large investment before I solarize the rest of my area, is a skid steer or tractor. I think we're leaning toward a skid steer right now, because the backs get hurt when you move the things all the time with the backs.
Yeah.
Nobody around here is getting younger every year.
Right. Well, I'll tell you, my advice to you would be a skid steer is superior in almost every measurable way over a tractor, until you come to things like mowing a field.
Which I don't need.
Right. Tractor's better at that. But really beyond that, baling hay, maybe, things like that. But I have a skid steer and a tractor, and my skid steer is my go-to for everything.
Right. Well, and then we've been looking at what skid steer to get, which one. And, that's been that's been a little bit of the thing. So we can get a really cheap one, and then Tactical will have to maintain it all the time, or we can spend more money and get one that's not going to break all the time. Which, of course, I'm like, I like option 2 because I have watched him maintain all the gas operated things around here from when he first came to the property, and they were old. And there was a lot of repair time put in, and so it's cheaper because you're getting one little part and you're replacing that part. But it's not cheaper when you're waiting a week for that part where you can't properly maintain things, and then all of the time spent ripping things apart and putting them back together. Yeah. So you already know where that decision's going to go to.
Oh yeah, I couldn't agree more. And my wife just bought a brand new tractor, 2024 model.
Yeah, this is right. Buy once, cry once.
And we went back and forth a whole bunch, but at the end of the day, she can get in it. It will start every day. She has no problems with it. And a lot of that equipment, same with skid steers, they don't really lose their value at the same rate like a car does. So even if you buy one 5 years old, you're paying up pretty good for those kinds of things.
Right.
So
I need to tell Tactical it's time to bring baby inside.
I'm surprised you don't have the baby in on the live with you. She'll be sitting in your lap while you're bottle feeding it, while you're monitoring your solar system.
Her next feeding's not till 8, and we don't feed early around here because we want her to eat a few times more volume. She's usually not super happy about this about a half hour before it's time.
So you're a birthing Nazi, a feeding Nazi, and now a solar Nazi too.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
I'm also a time Nazi, in case you didn't know that. Yeah.
Got it.
If you've ever seen me run an event, it's like, we are going to start the sessions on time.
Yeah. I just try to stay out of the way when I'm at the events.
Yeah. That's probably best.
Yeah.
Actually, Joel Salatin went over a half hour.
Oh.
Before I stopped him. And Jack Spirko knows I'm a time Nazi. And I think Jack Spirko was doing the next thing, or he was doing something right after. And I get this text 5 minutes after we've gone over time. And I've already decided to just let it go. Right. He's like, let him have some of my time. This is too good.
Yeah.
Because he knew I was going to stop. And I'm like, we're going to go half hour.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it'd be pretty hard to stop Joe Salvin. I mean,
yeah.
He's kind of the godfather,
Yeah, well, and it was like his talk went a little bit over, but then it was people had questions, and I really wanted to honor that they came all the way out to ask questions on that one. So, and I had, I've learned now you put people like Joel right before lunch.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lunch break, and then if they go over, it goes into the lunch break, and people can go to lunch if they want to. Yeah.
Hey, Big Kid's got a really good comment down there that I'd love to address. He talks about, I see your point about with buying new, but never pass up a deal I got on my Cat D4. I paid less than scrap price. I think this comes down to recognizing how often you're going to use it. So my skid steer I use every single day. I'm going to get good stuff because I use it every day. But, we have a grader out here that's like a 1970 model because it's run 4 times a year.
Yeah.
And so I think this is measuring how often you use it. Again, my skid loader saves me my butt every single day. I don't want hassles with that. But, I have a commercial wood chipper out here. Use it a few times a year, but it's got to be an 84 or something, right? It's a lot older because I just don't use it as much. But just so that I address you, Mr. Big Kid.
Yeah. Well, and then some things. So this is along the same lines. I have a dishwasher at my house.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a human dishwasher. It's a mechanical one. And I did a lot of research. I got this GE. I used it for a number of years, and it has a built-in computer.
Mm-hmm.
And it started going on the fritz about a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of those sneaky things where it worked and then it didn't work, and then it worked and then it didn't work. So we tested everything. I finally determined the computer board needs to be replaced. And the price for that's like $250.
Yep.
And that's at that point, you're like, I might as well just get a new dishwasher. Well, I have a backup dishwasher that I use in my outdoor kitchen.
Okay.
That I got on the internet, like for $50 used. And it's all mechanical dials.
Yeah, love it.
And I was like, we're throwing the backup dishwasher in my kitchen because I don't have time to think about a dishwasher for the kitchen. It gets the dishes cleaner. It doesn't have a computer to break. And so now I'm like scouring the used stuff for really old dishwashers that people think are ugly at this point.
Yeah.
I'm over it because, you know, when I started doing any research on appliances, basically, unless I get a commercial dishwasher or one of these old mechanical ones, it's not worth, like, they're going to break. They're designed to break after 3 to 5 years. So,
you know, I think there's something to absolutely be said about finding older mechanical things in a lot of those cases.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah, Tambra says I'm the dishwasher at my house.
yeah, when you said you had a dishwasher, I was going to ask you if Tactical washed the dishes. No. You gave me the look like he ain't allowed in the kitchen.
No, I mean, he is, and he does his own dish and he can do dishes, but we have actually had the discussion about labor division, and I do manage the meals and the dishes from the meals unless I'm like, I need help this week. And in order to do that, the tool I require is a dishwasher. So I did go through about a week of doing the dishes by hand, which I can do. It's fine. But with all of the time requirements for my commitment to making Self-Reliance Festival be awesome, it actually makes a difference.
Yeah.
And so what happened is I ended up having a sink full of dirty dishes all the time, which was driving me crazy. So, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, great point right here.
Yeah, so everything has ridiculous touch screens at the big box stores. That's really true. So there was Tactical found me a YouTube channel with an appliance repair guy who mentioned which models he would get for all appliances, from a stove in your to your washing machine to your dryer, dishwasher. He's like, pretty much I would get a Bosch, but you're screwed because all of them are going to break and it's expensive to fix them and they're not really worth it. And I just do my dishes by hand. That's basically where he went to with that. So, yeah, planned obsolescence makes all of us angry. I had an olive green deep freezer when I first lived here. Which makes you know about how old that thing was. And it lasted and lasted till the compressor finally went out and I couldn't get a replacement. In hindsight, I probably could have jury rigged something though.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that then.
They don't make stuff like that anymore.
Yeah. But maybe they will again someday. So I feel like there's a really good profit model if we can tap the audience that's willing to pay $2,000 for a small fridge, or $3,000 because it's repairable for a lifetime. Yeah.
I would do that.
Yeah, I would too.
I would take that deal. What's that mail? You all right? One more. Do we have another one in her?
No, I just didn't want to sneeze out loud. I had to mute for that. I had to sneeze. There was no stopping it. I was like, oh, there it is. Yeah. Another point for buying old stuff is many more parts are interchangeable, but the trick is figuring out which part it is, right? Like you have to take the part out and go to the store and put them side by side. Yeah. My roaster is like that. So I got a roaster that has easy to source parts because I wanted to be able to fix it myself and not have to have a repair technician come all the way out to my house, which is virtually impossible to get done. So
when the call for Bosch. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I had a Bosch. I'll never get a Bosch again after having a Bosch. But they are the highest quality on the market, which isn't saying much. Like, it's not like Speed Queen is the highest quality clothes washer. And specific models are better than others, but they're repairable and it'll last a life. Like that one will last a lifetime. Which is what I'm getting when I get rid of my 1980s era washing machine I'm currently using right now, which was left behind at a rental property. Somebody, like, it was so old, somebody didn't want it. So, and it uses water to wash your clothes, so your clothes actually get clean. Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder I don't know if you know this, how energy efficient are they? Because, like in my world, I look at energy efficiency over price. Like price is the second consideration.
Yeah.
Do you know those? I've never had one, so I don't know.
I don't know on a Speed Queen, but they are designed to be durable and they wash really well and they use more water.
Mhm.
So so it may not be all that energy efficient. I don't know. I don't know that that's it. That's not what it's trying to do.
Mm.
It's trying to clean your clothes
Mhm.
consistently. But then there's also all the government regulations requiring certain benchmarks be made. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's what got us into this mess.
Our government's a joke.
Yeah.
All of it's a joke. I get so tired of it.
I don't watch it anymore. It makes me too mad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I don't pay attention to it 6 days out of the week, and then I get ready to do our lives on Friday. For those of you guys who don't know, we do a live every Friday night at 7 o'clock, and I usually cover current affairs. So I spend 3 hours on Friday just catching up to everything that happened during the week so that I can talk about it. Man, it irritates me every time. Every single time. But
Well, then why do you want to talk about it?
well, because I think it's about, at least from the audience perspective, it's about, like, a lot of them have said, this is where I get my news. You know, and then I think the other side is just keeping, even though I don't think you can really believe a lot of what you're hearing, just keeping up to speed on what is going on in the Ukraine, or at least what are they reporting, and in Israel, and what are the jobs numbers markets, and what are the, all of those kind of things. So I think it's good to kind of keep up, but I do it in a 3-hour window once a week, and it irritates me to death. Maybe I should stop. I don't know.
Maybe you should get somebody to write you a brief.
Right. Wouldn't that be great? Yeah. Well, maybe one day I'll have a big enough channel I can afford to have someone help me with it. Because right now I do it all myself.
Well, if you want to test for free, go to knightsbridge.com.
Okay.
Use coupon code LFTN, and they will sign you up for a month. You get a daily email briefing.
Night?
It's nights like I'm going to type it. It's nights like knight in shining armor.
Oh, there you go. Knightsbridge. There you go.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just interviewed a guy from Knightsbridge on my podcast, and their goal is to give you intelligence without freaking you out.
And what's the code?
LFTN for living free in Tennessee.
LFTN. Okay, got it.
Yeah, and he set up that coupon code for me, and I'm going to check it out too. I'm still afraid it's going to make me crazy.
Yes.
But they analyze both nationally and internationally what's going on, and then write these briefs. And their profit model, like, they work for large corporations and do different services, but their profit model for me, normal people, is to give us what they think they need to know. And if there's a hot spot bubbling somewhere in the country here, and you're traveling, it's really super helpful to know that.
Yeah. Yeah. See, check out Big Kid's comment right there.
Big Kid.
Yeah, that's why I do it.
Tag is our brief.
That's why, right there.
Big Kid just volunteered to write your brief. I think.
I know, right?
Go Big Kid.
He's a really smart dude, so he'd pull it off pretty easy, I would think.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, it's important to have enough situational awareness that you don't walk into something that you don't want to walk into, or you don't invest money somewhere where it's a bad place, know. But at the same time, if all you do is watch the meteor flying towards your head, so figuratively speaking, it's hard to move forward and celebrate the new life on your homestead and all of those other things that happen. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's
I'll
important.
tell you.
The world's
sorry,
crazy.
go ahead.
I was going to say the world's crazy. So, and it's getting weirder by the day, I think.
Yeah. I realized today that I was able to navigate birthing week primarily because when I was 10 years old, I read a fiction book called All Creatures Great and Small.
Okay.
And it's a veterinarian talking about being a country veterinarian, describing all of these things. And he was very often called out to do sheep things. And so I was joking, I was talking today on my podcast, like, had I not read that book and only read the informational manuals I had read about these things can go wrong, it wouldn't be the same, because that story just locked it in.
Yeah.
And I bring that up because, like, that's the same with watching the news. Like, you need to expose yourself to other stuff.
I did hear this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to totally hijack this live, Nicole, but I think it's interesting how the Army 2 years ago, its advertising was, look at me, I'm a minority female with a mental or disorder, and look, I'm in the Army and I'm happy, to the last one that came out this week was, I need warrior mentality, airborne troops. Like it's totally made this huge shift into, we might need some war fighters, you know?
Yeah, why do you think that happened? What do you think they're preparing for?
Yeah, you know what's crazy is I've done a lot of study on this, Nicole, and I know it really well, or I think I do, and I don't think that the United States is in any danger of, you know, Russia or China coming here, maybe with the exception of a nuke or something, but they're not getting over here. The supply lines are too long, the natural barriers are too big, and we have a huge armed populace. You know, Americans have, on average, own 1.2 guns. The closest country to us is Yemen with like 0.78. I mean, so I just don't see it. But there's obviously, I think America wants a fight, and I think they want World War III. And if I lived in Europe, I'd be very concerned.
Yeah, I don't think World War III is a good idea personally, but there appears to be a spirit of war in the air.
Yeah. Yes.
And not, you know, like war is never good.
No.
It's not good for the pocketbook. It's not good for the people. It's not good for our mental health. But here we are. The spirit of war is in the air. And now so I didn't realize the advertising had changed. Like that's your propaganda foreshadow.
Right.
Oh, we need people who can fight. Well, you know what else we need is citizenry that's not unhealthy. And we're very unhealthy, typically speaking.
Very unhealthy.
Yes.
Yeah, go look at a picture of a beach in 1970 and then look at a picture of a beach today.
Yeah.
You know, that will tell you kind of the whole story. You know, we're being poisoned by our food, by our medicine, right? By what we see over media. You know, man, it's time we take a stand. It's time to take control of our own life. You know, it's time to be intentional, right?
Right.
It's just time to do those kinds of things.
And that's why I do Self-Reliance Festival is, you know, it's not because it makes me a millionaire. It's because it helps, it makes us all wealthier in the ways that matter, I guess is probably the best way to say it.
Yeah, I think that's really well said. And anybody who's ever been behind the scenes of one of those festivals will tell you there's not a lot of money in it.
Yeah.
It's actually a lot of work for very little money. But at the end of the day, what you kind of come out of it, I mean, I know, how many more relationships do you have now in the homesteading movement that you would not have had you not done the Self-Reliance Festival?
Oh, like hundreds and more than that. Like it does. So it has given me some credibility.
Of course.
Like I met some personalities this weekend at another event who didn't know who I was necessarily, but they knew what Self-Reliance Festival was.
Yep.
And so then instantly I could be like, okay, well, would you come speak?
Yeah.
And it's easier to get a yes now that it's established than it was the first. You know, the only reason I got decent name speakers at the beginning was that from my podcast I had credibility and John has credibility.
Yeah.
So we would be like, which one of us should ask person X, you know? And I got a lot of no's. Mm-hmm. Whoops. A lot of no. I wiggle a lot. That was me wiggling. I don't like to sit still. But yeah, you know, we got, you know, I rarely get a no now. I occasionally get one. There's one person in particular that said no twice, so I'm not sure I'm going to ask him a third time. Yeah. He's always had a reason, but I'm not sure it's a real reason. So yeah.
Well, I can say I've had a lot of fun doing it. I've had a lot of fun. The speaking part's cool and all that, but I can't tell you how much fun I've had in the audience and just talking to people. And, you know, and it's not even what happens at the festival. You know, we went last time I was there, was there on Saturday. And then I had breakfast dates with people in the audience Sunday morning at a local restaurant, you know, and it's all that stuff combined, you know, that makes it such a great experience. And I would recommend any of you guys out there in the audience, if you can make it to Self-Reliance, go. It's a great experience. It's a great place to network. You're going to learn a lot from the speakers and that too, but I'm going to tell you, it's the community that's out in the audience to me that makes it so special, you know, compared to a lot of the other places that we go to. I just couldn't say that enough, you know?
Yeah. You're just walking around talking the whole time when you're there. That's funny.
What I do.
Yeah.
I talk to one couple, next people, and I just have lots of conversations. And I've met so many good people, just so many.
Yeah. Some of us prefer to forever stay in the shadows. Is that a good idea?
Yeah, it's actually, you know, there was a time we all did that, big kid.
Yeah.
There was a time I did that. But I think that the longer we wait to stand up and voice our opinions, the worse the damage is going to be. And I think that it's clearly been demonstrated that the best interest of the people is not at the heart of our elected officials and the bureaucrats at the top. And if we don't stand up and do something about it, what's going to happen is my kids and then their kids And then their kids are going to be living in a horrible place, all because we wanted to hide in the shadows.
Yeah.
No disrespect.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know that disrespect was indicated there, but it can be, so the barrier to getting out of the shadows can be hard, especially for introverts.
Mm-hmm.
This is a very introvert friendly event.
Yeah.
Because you can just walk off into the woods if you want to recharge. And there's a lot of other introverts there who are like, yeah, we realized we needed to get out and talk to some people. So some of the best things happen around the campfire and the campground at night too. Just sitting around the fire, drinking a beer or whatever and talking.
Yeah, I had a lady from Pennsylvania the last time I spoke at SRF. I had a lady in Pennsylvania come up to me and goes, I'm not even sure I belong here, but, and started talking. And man, I'm telling you, within 15 minutes, man, she was giving me a rundown and she belonged there perfectly. Yeah. It was her people. She just didn't know it.
Yeah. People come in. I always love this too. So I'll talk to people who are like, oh, I love your festival. I'm like, what were you expecting when you walked in? And they were expecting like, camoed up, gun toting, like whatever.
Right.
Which, I'm sure we wouldn't say you can't do that there. And they were expecting a very more like militant almost environment. And they're like, and what I found was just a whole bunch of nice people who are interested in talking about whatever their thing is, whether it be a homesteading gardening thing or a self-defense thing or whatever it is.
Hey, I think Gizmo's asking for details on the festival. Do you want me to put a link in there?
Yeah, it's selfreliancefestival.com, and I believe, I'm on the back end of the website. So
that's right. I got it right there.
Back end of my website, but here's the actual website. There's your coupon code. So you go to selfreliancefestival.com. Up in the upper right-hand corner is a tickets link, and we have different kinds of tickets. So there's a digital pass where we stream from the circus tent. We have 2 tents with different presentations. In-person pass includes camping. It's $105, but with your coupon code, which is Life Done Free, you'll get $20 off. The VIP tickets include a VIP dinner. You get the digital pass with that. You get VIP parking with that. And so that's $450. And then we have, sponsorships. There's also workshops in advance. So you have Fight Like a Girl with Sonny Puzikas, where it's not just women's self-defense class. It's about using your strengths as a woman to get out of the situation. So it's a little bit different than your typical homestead responder, the pig processing class. We've got a plant medicine basics class the night before. So a couple days before things start happening, Radio Made Easy will be doing a Zero to Hero class again. We've got a wild edible foraging class. These 2 are Monday afterwards. So that's basically the overview of what's happening. And you can see everybody who's presenting on there too. That's selfreliancefestival.com.
Now, for those of you guys who can't make it, the digital pass is cool. You'll get to see all the speakers. That stuff's all great. But I'm going to tell you something. Being in the audience is like nothing else. It's I just can't tell you the difference it is, I would gladly pay for the digital course just to learn from guys, like Angry American, who's going to be there, who, wrote a very popular book that's kind of folklore, kind of in the prepping movement, today. Oh, look at that. Cool. Sign up for the pig processing class. You're not
going to want to miss it.
Yeah. Yeah. But get in the audience. Take all the classes you want in there, but I'm going to tell you, get in the audience.
Yeah. Well, and it's also because, so the digital passes are great. And a lot of people who go to the event buy the digital passes after the event.
Okay.
To go see the recordings. We give them a 50% off coupon code afterwards because we figure you were there anyway. And because we have simultaneous sessions going on.
Yeah.
So you have to choose. Am I going to go to this or am I going to go to that?
Yeah. Yeah. There was twice that I was down there that I was on stage at the exact same time. The class I wanted to hear the most was going on somewhere else. That happened to me twice.
Yeah.
How
long have you been living the life? I've been off-grid homesteading 2008. I started in 2007 with homesteading. So about the same timeline. But I had always been a homestead interested person, but I've not been off-grid. I've been more like, I'm more food resilient than most people I know, but that's where my passion was the food side first.
Yeah. So for me, I was a prepper first, and I've been doing that for, since 93. And then we had a little garden and a small property, and that kind of stuff. But I started homesteading in 2000, after I lost my career.
Yeah. I love your story of how you lost your career. You didn't lose your career. You were like, I choose to lose my career.
Yeah, but see, like, I feel like they put me in a corner and I didn't have a choice, because either I had to do one of two things: either tell my troops that everything I ever told them in life was a lie. That was choice number one, or choice number two was stand my ground.
Yeah.
I mean, so in my book, I didn't have a choice. But you are right. I could have stayed if I wanted to, but I didn't want to.
But you wouldn't like yourself if you did.
No. And man, I just kept going over and over and over in my head that my troops are going to look at me like I'm a scam. I'm a hypocrite. If I do anything other than what I'm about to go do, I'm a hypocrite. And I just couldn't get over it,
Yeah, well, that's one of the things I like about you is you put your feet where your morals are, right? And it's what better way to be durable than to be able to say, I'm going to walk away from a really well-paying job.
Yeah.
Because I have beliefs and they're going against my beliefs, and that's it.
Yeah.
Now, that's not easy on the pocketbook, I'm sure.
No,
but
no. But it wasn't the first couple of years. But you know what? Since then, I've started a couple businesses. They're doing fine. I'm living a great life. I have no real complaints, and I don't miss it in the tiniest bit.
Yeah. No. Well, I'll tell you what, I'd like you to do a time management class sometime for my people.
Oh, my
because
goodness.
What has impressed me the most about you is watching you run multiple businesses and manage your time and not screw it up.
Yeah.
You're very good at that.
Yeah. Yeah. The CEO I used to work for, the guy that did all the mandating to me that caused it all, he always said to me, you're the only person I've met that can manage 100 things better than they can manage one.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why that is. But
well, we should do a talk about that sometime.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe when you have 100 things, it's like really clear which one's the priority.
Yeah. Yeah. When I'm a very good delegator, and I love my people and I love the troops, and I don't prey on them. I don't put myself in a position to take from them. I understand how that goes. And so you get great people around you that are, self-thinkers. You don't really have to tell them what to do. Like most of the time they know what to do, they just do it. And, all you're trying to do is make the hard decisions at the end if they can't make them. And quite often they make them for you. And then, you counsel them on whether it was a good one or a bad one, but off we go. You know?
So there you go.
Yeah.
Multiple businesses and still has time for community. That's because he prioritizes it.
I do.
Yeah.
I really look at building community no different than I look at feeding the chickens.
Yeah.
I don't view it any different.
Yeah, I can see why.
It's all the same to me. It's all something that's just part of my process, that we get into.
100%. Okay, well, let's wrap up. I think we're at the end of an hour, and speaking of time management.
Yeah, right.
I've gone 3 minutes over the allotted time tag.
You are a time Nazi.
I respect your time. You made time for us today. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Nicole, I'll make time for you anytime.
Anytime. I'm
super happy to help.
Yeah. Well, how about you wrap us up and we'll go on our merry way.
Yeah, so for anybody who don't know, I'm Tag from the YouTube channel Life Done Free. You can also find me on Freesteading, Facebook, and I just started a new Instagram account, so we'll see how well that goes. Never been on Instagram before. This is brand new for me. But I think just to kind of leave this whole conversation today is, I think Nicole opened it beautifully when she talked about being durable, and I would add be intentional, be durable and intentional. And I think if you can do those things, you can accomplish great things. I'd also like to thank you, Nicole, for offering a discount code to the Life Done Free viewers if they want to go to Self-Reliance. And you guys, I'm telling you, all you got to do is take a step. That's all it is. Put one foot in front of the other. 5 years from now, you're going to look back at this time and you're going to not even remember what you did on this weekend. You're just not going to invest in yourself, invest in building community. And there's no better place than Self-Reliance Festival. And thank you, Nicole. And thank you for all the impact you've had on our community here. And I look forward to visiting with you again in the future. I look forward to speaking again sometime at Self-Reliance Festival. And thank you for your hospitality.
Well, you're always welcome there. And thank you for making time today, guys. I hope to see you at Self-Reliance Festival. And if not, I will see you at the Midwest Preparedness Project.
Yep, amen.
Don't go to mine. Go to his. See you later.
See ya, buddy.